I'm so sorry. I'm so glad I caught this. But if you had already seen the last episode or last stream, I was kind of falling asleep. But there was a reason for it. I had to get a blood drawn, and there was no earlier times, so I had to do around like the afternoonish. So I was dozing off because I couldn't eat for like 8 hours, or eat for 8 hours or 10. I mean, I had coffee, so that kind of helped a little bit. I don't know, but yeah. So welcome. We are having this done. We're having this done. So yay! Hopefully no sleeping time right now. But we're done with like the step 1, and we're doing little cut scenes or so. So they're in the convenience store, corner store, and they're getting snacks. So yeah, everything's good. Okay, everything's good. Thoughts on your personal savings were interrupted when your ears caught onto a particular conversation. Oh, are they gonna steal? I hope not, no. The trio of the boys had started chatting about something while wandering through the aisles. Who did it? Who did it before? I don't remember. No, they aren't stealing. I can do it. The solution did not satisfy Mr. Cullen. He groaned dramatically. You're probably the one who handled it last time. You don't remember that. Remember? I know that much. No, we're gonna stop this. Q. Stop. Who was it last time? Me or you? You steal? No. Q definitely jabbed a finger into Darren's shoulder. Darren was out of the equation for whatever reason. It's been a while since then. It could have been either of us. Refusing to accept the situation so obvious, he could see it from a distance. Baxter offered another suggestion. We could play rock, paper, scissors. Though he knew what he was doing, every inch of Baxter's face and his note of voice expressed his amusement. It was only Autumn who was unimpressed then. Darren and Q, heavy-sided union, dipping their head lows before smiling playfully at each other. You know, this is a good idea, right? No, they're about to steal. No. Yeah, it'll settle this perfect. The tallest boy in the group. You're 7th grader. They are 5th graders. Be a good role model. Shit. I mean, probably. You can't just say like, oh, 7th grader's got to be a good role model, but it's kind of true. The tallest of the group pulled himself even higher, ready to test your luck, Autumn. Nah, I don't need luck. Rock, paper, scissors. Then you heard something different. It was Tamrock speaking specifically to you loud enough that it could be heard halfway across the store. What are they talking about? Each four of the turn, and the cloak turned to stare back at her, and the person next to her is you. Dan stuck his hand in his pocket of his vest and did that thing where he retracted his neck inward so he didn't have to face people all the way. We're figuring out whose turn it is to buy food. Ooh. sure about that? Mm-hmm. Everybody's buying snacks for themselves. Our club takes turns having one person gets all the supplies for the group to share. Why? Her big eyes were clear of any taunting. It was honestly didn't make any sense in Tamarack's mind. You pay a lot sometimes or pay a little every time. That's not going to make any difference. Less boring. Oh. Simple Line had actually kind of convinced her of the concept. For once, Baxter's contribution was accepted easily. Tamarack didn't have any interest in teasing him. If anything, Baxter might have been up to didn't interest her beyond its face value. Right, this makes things fun. You offer your money. Ah! Darren and Baxter was stunned into silence, but the leader jumped right away to reject the offer on the club's behalf. You don't have to do that. It's really nice of you and stuff, but you could at least join the game. It's way more fair. We can't make you pay for it the first time we ever gotten together as a club without giving you a chance to win too. Okay, then let me try to do it. Tell your team player. Key briefly moved the event forward. Wait, well, there's more of us in the game, so here's the rule. If all three get used between four of us, only the person going against two will be the loser. If 2 and 2, the people with the losing thing both lose. So what if everyone chooses the same thing? That's not gonna happen. But if it did, we just play again. But what if one person has the winning thing and everyone has the losing? Tamarack was an invested spectator. She was more interested in the matchups and some of the people actually playing the game. Winner still wins, even if they're knocking out 3 people in a single loop. Alright? He leaned his weight onto one foot, sticking out his hip, leveled a glance at his club, and whoever wins gets to be the snack master, and the snack master has to pay. Darren and Baxter both nodded, though one of them did it with any concern for possibility. Darren was the warrior. You followed them up with a tilted of your head on head. Rock, paper, scissors! Before you chanted the 3 words bouncing your fist to the beat. On the final point, you and them each made a move. What are we gonna pick? Rock! Baxter was your match. Rock. But the other side of the circle, Q and Darren wielded a pair of paper-covered rock. You lost. Baxter, you're out. Fine. Baxter lifted his head in defeat and closed his eyes for a second. It seems like he would take his bow with any smugness business, except that was nice of you. He had one last line to give him with a sneaky smirk. While you understood Baxter was being snooty, you didn't get exactly how. Q could only shake his head. Dietary, you're done for. I figured I should have said something before. I'll let you know anyway that you're gonna be living here from now on. Baxter only uses rock. What? Tamarack went from dead silent to releasing a high-pitched yelp. The volume was enough to cover the entire store that time. Yep, he never picks anything else in his whole life. I'm pretty sure he hasn't for as long as I've known him, which is like 2 years. So, third grade. Thanks, but you didn't care. Q kept talking about it anyway. His eyes squinted along the bottom edges from the nervous smile that pulled at his lips. Baxter is kind of diabolical. But true distress soon colored Q's face. He threw out his arm to physically get emotions across. Doesn't it feel like cheating to beat him? When you want to know what he's gonna do? Me and Darren can almost never play paper when he's in a game. The kid questioned merely smiled with a lift of his chin. He saw no reason to explain or defend his devious behavior. Despite basically doing nothing, or maybe that's because Baxter earned himself a friendly shove from Q. It was already decided that blockheads can't win. Oops. Q finished snickering as he sharpened his focus towards the remaining threat. It's on now. I'm ready. The two competitors faced one another for a final bout for the real competition, the title of Snack Master. Darren should lose or win because I feel like he should. And the whole lot of pocket change was on the line. The audience remained still as they prepared their weapon, and it began. Rock, paper, scissors. On the word, Darren's fully gloved split into scissors, and Q's partially gloved hand flattened out to be paper once more. No! Ha ha! The prongs of Darren's scissors instantly curled inward, but it was too late. No amount of regret could change the fact. Scissors beat paper. We crowned a new snack master. Q managed to blurt out before doubling over with reckless laughter. Hooray! Thank you for the treats, snack master. Ooh, Miss Tay, you took the rest and now you get the reward. A snack for free. It can only be one though, because he's got to buy stuff from me and Baxter. Darren's only got so much money. Okay. Baxter patted Darren's back in support. He had offered to pay the snacks at the very beginning, and Darren could have used Baxter's strategy against him, but Darren never took the easy way. His victory was an honorable one. Okay, I'll buy snacks. Yeah, you will. Let's pick them out already. Sure, come on. With a surprisingly not cocky smile, Baxter stretched his arm all the way down to Darren's shoulder. A pair of older boys walked ahead. Phew! Q let out a big breath as his shoulder slumped. That was more nerve-wracking than usual. He played it cool as he waited for his friend to be good. A few rows down, and then he twisted around you and Tamrock. He whispered through his teeth, pecking you closer while glancing over his shoulder to keep watch. Tamrock took the hop forward, then looked back and forth. When the close seemed clear, she leaned into whatever message Q was going to deliver. They're not gonna steal, are they? It wasn't super polite to talk behind your friend's back, but you were willing to hear what it was actually about. I got another secret for you. Dan doesn't like to play the same thing twice in a row, and he doesn't usually go for Baxter's move either. Most times after a round with Baxter and his rock, Darren ends up going for the scissors. Paper then rock is my strategy. Unless I want Baxter or Darren to win, then I do scissors first and paper twice. Darren still got to be the snack master in the end, but I was worried in the end. You joining in made everything different. This is so cool. Same for you, Tamrock. Having more kids around has been great. I'm always on my toes. Yes, Tamrock and Q never wanting to do the same thing wasn't always a bad thing. Though, let me serve. They found their same idea. But we better hurry and get some snacks. We can get the snacks now. Oh! Tamrock squished her hand over her mouth. You could still hear her giggling. Right, good plan. Q started off to join Darren and Baxter again. Tamrock stayed hot on the boys' heels. She wouldn't be left behind, whether she needed to go shopping or not. What you can consider the shelf surrounding you with your new eyes. Every drawer in the chest could be now yours if you wanted to. Thanks for the generosity of your snack master. For 1.5. The thing you picked was Darren didn't say a peep on your choice. That probably meant it was fine to get. If he had a problem with it, Darren would have said so. He always did. Gripping the chocolate peanut butter cups between your fingers, you realize something that didn't have to be your own snack. No. There was better things in the world you could spend your money on, and it had to be used sparingly. Eventually, everyone getting something had their choice, and the 5 of you had gathered back at the back of the store. Q was in high spirit over conclusion. He picked out a bag of spicy, cheesy, crunchy chips. Baxter chose sour gummies, and the snack master himself got some beef jerky. Along with your chocolate peanut butter cup, it was a huge range of snack options, each as different as the kid who selected it. Darren marched straight up to the counter and slapped down a $10 bill. He called his club without turning around. Bring the stuff over. We gotta ring it up before I can buy it. Coming. Yeah. Flashing that amount of cash was apparently unbelievable to Tamrock as she watched the exchange happen, as though Darren was making the food appear out of nowhere. Maybe she could have bought something even if she wanted to. Darren finished the purchase without extra fuss. He got a big bag of treats and a little change, gripping them both tightly in his hand. The exchange, you'd think Mom. You remember her telling you about Oregon when it was sure thing you'd be moving there. She talked about how there was no sale taxes. The price of the sticker was the real amount you paid, most of the time. Your mom was funny and practical. Then the tax-free sale was done. Remember, the snack master also gets the honor of carrying the goods for us subjects. Darren securely hooked the bag under one arm while stowing his coins in the pockets of his jeans. I know, Baxter. After a pit stop, far more eventful than going shopping for snacks, it sounded like. The crew of the kids left the corner store behind. We're gonna go to that place now. Is it gonna be a real big tree house? He made the announcement as he took the head of the pack. Oh, Tamarack was so fluffed up and excited about finally going to that special place. She didn't try to get in front of Hugh, or it could have been because she didn't know where he was headed. Special place. The group surrounding you and the brimming sense of eagerness kept the fall chill away. You continued down Main Street for a few blocks, but soon you had to turn down a side road. Whatever the special place was, it took longer to get there than town and at your school. It was beyond Golden Grove. The farther you went, the more forest took control of the land again. People made structures, retreated among the vibrant leaves, becoming fewer and fewer in numbers. Actually, it was a familiar path to the one that led you to your own apartment. Part of you wondered if it was all a huge prank by Q and you ended right where you started. But most of you were just joking to yourself. Instead, opening to a hidden neighborhood, the road you'd taken into a sun-bleached parking lot, the only building left in sight was the diner. Oh, that's why it was so familiar to you. You hadn't only been through the streets that were similar. You had gone down to the exact way before, but in a car and at night. And now you were there again. On your own 2 feet, you've gone to the outskirts of human civilization. The end of that being old-fashioned and plain old American foot restaurant. The entire herd, giant lot. You had more fingers on one hand than you could. Then there was cars parked. All 3 of the vehicles were clustered together in a single section out of the way. You took a few more steps forward, splitting off from the group gathered at the edge of the lot. There's a trail behind it. A little past there, it leads all the way up into the mountain. His word mountain projected loud through the wide open space. He raised his arm up with the sound. A wall of rustling branches in the distance framed the silhouette of Q's back. The forest looked impossibly thick. That's far from town. If you hadn't been told there was a way through, you would have thought no one could get any further. The Red Fox Hedge Trail. That's its name. Me and my brother and my mom and dad go hiking there sometimes. Cube twisted his head over to one shoulder, showing the edge of a bright grin. There's biking trails too, though I'm not allowed to go ride them yet. I gotta be older. He flapped a thumb and resting his finger up and down each other in a mocking imitation of his parents, past the admonishment. It's too dangerous for a kid. What if you crash? What if no one finds you? The mountain isn't a joke. Ironically, he was making fun of not a joke warning. Q's yak hand puppet shifted into a single arm shrug. At least we can walk. You have a brother? Me? Darren asked with a high questioning tone. He had not expected you to speak to him directly about anything. Exchanges to and from him were normally transferred between Q and Baxter. Yes, you. You're the one who has a brother, I guess. Well, yeah. His name is Devin. I don't have any other siblings. Darren and Devin, the Murray brothers. Where was he? How come you've never seen the mystery Murray anywhere? Darren simply readjusted his grip on the snack sack, deciding his work answering you was done. Baxter, with his greater wisdom, filled you in on an important piece of information. Devin is 16. He's 16? Mm-hmm. Oh, that's why. Darren was the same age as you. Q said he was 12 when you met, but that meant his big brother was 4 years older, not to mention nearly an adult. You might have been double digits in years, but Devin was double digit school grading. Of course he wouldn't hang out with kids like you. And wait, how old does that make your mom? Old. Unbelievable. She looked like the youngest of the grown-ups you met in Golden Grove, but had a kid who was already old enough to drive. You've been fooled again by the big pigtail braid. Adults were really hard to figure out. Q's eyes started to water then. He slowly turned his head to look out across the lot. You know, it isn't too bad Uncle probably isn't working. He usually does a late shift. We could have said hi. Oh, you have an uncle here? The concept was a complete shock to Tamarack. It was news to you, too. Q laughed over it. Darren had a brother. Q had an uncle. Where was these extra family members coming from today? He's not my real uncle, kids. He knows, just get to call him that. Like how your Omi is everybody's granny. Oh. Thinking about that, you might have seen Q's uncle when you went to the diner and not even known. How weird. If he was here, we wouldn't have a choice but to say hi. Uncle keeps a close eye on what happens on his turf. Nothing gets past him. He'd come out by now to talk to us himself. Q turned around to face the four of you properly. He ended the spin by firmly planting his foot on the ground. If attention wasn't entirely on him before, it was then. After gaining an attentive audience, Q launched into a dramatic, according to him, tale. One time, a few papers from my notebook fell into the parking lot or something. But I know that because when I was passing by a different time, Uncle called me over to give them back. That never happens. He stated that definitely, insistently, only to immediately lighten up on the guarantee. Except around Tay and Tamara, you two always make them appear out of thin air. Darren and Baxter shared a look out of the corners of their eyes. He was much too distracted by his own storytelling to catch it. Darren's mouth teased. Baxter quirked up more. You begin to wonder if Q's friends were simply too nice or too nervous to point out how Q lost his paper every day. The two must have seen it happen 100 times, or somehow Q remained certain that it was a possibility. Maybe the other club members returned his notes in secret. Oh well, we don't have time for conversation today. The finish line is right ahead. He threw a rolling fist into the air. You snickered to yourself. Q didn't know when he was dropping things or when he was using up all the time talking. That's how the final stretch of your journey commenced. The tiny table was left behind, and so was Golden Grove entirely. The road you followed out had no sidewalk. There was only a thin rocky edge that was separated tarmac from wilderness. Luckily, it was devoid of cars, as the parking lot had been. Only people passing by through was a group of 5 kids. You wandered along until a patch of dirt opened out on one of the sides of the street. There was a tilted sign with a fresh coat of dust declaring this was the head of Red Fox Ridge Trail, 6.8 miles and 1,456 feet of elevation gain. You spied a narrow path curling through the bushes and the tree trunk. It soon disappeared past where you could see. The way it folded made the streaks of pebbles feeling playful, like the red fox of the ridge had left it behind only a minute ago and was daring you to chase its route. Through here! Darren was suddenly in front of your eyes, and it was a startling appearance to come after your imagination. His spiky blonde hair, striking orange sweater was oddly fox-like. The red fox boy screwed up his face in confusion. Darren almost asked what that was about, but then he kept going. You all did. There was no going back now. Advancing under a canopy of dense enough to cover the entire sky, you made your way through the forest. Are they gonna go into a cave? Don't do that. Don't do it. Don't go into caves. No one spoke during that trip, not even Q to explain, not Tamarack to ask when you'd be there. Past the sounds of the footsteps and snapping twigs, you could hear bubbling of water. It became more and more clear until the woods parted smoothly away by an old stone bridge as through the earth was wearing a beret in its leafy hair. The crumbling set of stairs led to a trickling stream below. There was no mistaking it. This was a special thing. Tamarack sucked in a whistling breath and did not let it out. Her cheeks were fully puffed out, and she stamped her feet as if she was revving up an engine. Then she was gone. Tamarack shot ahead, leaping from step to step until she was frolicking in the little valley below. Ah, wait for us! Oh no, is she gonna fall in the river and be like, oh, I can't swim! I can't swim! Q shouted out at her, and then the thought to move after her as well. He and Darren darted for the way down together, though Q took a shortcut by jumping off the stairs at the end of the half point. Watch your step! Baxter whispered lightly to you. That was not a warning because he was worried. It was a big kid just to see if it shook your nerves. You danced around the stairwell right after without a care in the world. You stayed right in the middle and took even steps one by one. You reached the ground completely fine. Hey Darren, you can leave the bag near the stairs. We'll eat them later. Q took a huge stride down the slight hill, holding out his arm for balance. He joined Tamarack, who was crushed by the water. Oh, there's fishes in there, or frogs? Maybe. I think I saw something moving in there before. But it's a great place, huh? Tamarack's rosy face went blank, and for a blank, was it a great place? The anticipation that had built up, all the joy from the incredible realization of the answer burst forth in a grand cheer. Yes, it's a special place. Look at this, because it's not an hideout, it's just outside. Besides, it takes too long to get here, and I need a place so I can hide out in whenever I need to. Tamara basked in the glow of her own excitement. Everyone there was happy, but her joy outshone all the else. Then she sprung onto her rainbow-clad feet again. There was yet more to see. Climbing over mossy stones and looking under them too, the group spread out to explore. The air cooled down through. You could feel its chill against the roof of your mouth and teeth with every breath, like the aftermath of eating a mint. It wasn't only autumn season, but the wind was rushing across the valley through those two parts of Hawaii. Being so close to the water added a third layer of unique type of cold you experienced at the special place. It was really land today, apart from everything else. While the clamoring about Tamarack imagined a fairy tale about a mysterious creature that lived under the bridge. She never set foot there until that day, but she was certain she was an expert on its hidden history. That is exactly like her. You just know her for 2 days. Or 3, I don't know. Eventually, Tamarack made a different kind of explanation to the crowd. I'm gonna cross the bridge now. She already began inching that way. Yeah, check it out. I think about what to do while we're here. We could play a game or something. Q, Baxter, and Darren stood as unified front on that, come up with a plan, despite Q doing all the talking. Okay, I'll come back later. Should we? I'll be careful, I don't want to follow her. I will. Boys waved her off on a short trip. Tamarack skipped up the stairs by herself. They turned one another and you again. Hey, wanna cross the stream? There's really an easy way to do it. One part so thin you can step over it. You can see the other side of the valley. Sure, yeah. It's alright. Oh, is he gonna like fall or someone's gonna fall? Like, oh, I'm going down the river. Guys, I'll go. Sure. Before you made a trek across the water, Q found a couple of things to say while he stretched over the divide. It's kind of funny. Tamarack is crossing from up there, and while we're doing it from down here. One after another, kid transferred from the larger section of the valley to the smaller side. When everyone was settled on the solid ground, Baxter was first to speak. Here we are. Now what? Now! He boldly faced the question, words of his club. We go back to thinking about what we're gonna do, except on this side of the stream. Little progress has been made by the team. Silently, brainstorming continued. All three boys put a hand on their chin, but finally it was in different poses for each other. Dan squished the side of his chin on top of a fist. Baxter pressed all 3 fingers into the front of his face, and Q cradled his chin with a thumb and pointer finger. Before any of their serious thinking could lead up to a plan of action, a shout echoed from above. Oh no, she's trapped! Terry and the boys! Their hands fell to the side as the boys club craned their necks to look towards the sound. Tamara stuck her head over the bridge, and that wasn't all. She held a fist above her head between her finger with a baggie of something. It was far to tell what, though it was bumpy and limp. Oh no, it's a frog, and she shook about it. Tamara had a challenge. If I throw these cashews from up here, do you think you can catch them? She was going to drop the cashews off the bridge. Every eye and mouth in her audience popped wide open in surprise. And then the valley erupted around you. The boys reached their hands to the sky, shouting in union. Yeah! You cheered with them. Yeah! Q punched his left hand into the right palm, raring to go. This is gonna be good. Absolutely. Your captain said, Tamara, we're gonna move to the bigger side. Q called out before leading the charge back over the small brook. Okay, oh no, she's gonna fall. Okay. Then Tamara's face disappeared behind the railing. She was preparing her arsenal. The leader of this new game selected one single cashew off the top. She stretched over the top again, 2 fingers. Tamara daintily dangled the first prize. Paper airplanes and now cashews. Tamara certainly liked throwing things at people. Ready? And before we do, we need a sub. And I'll be right back. Going to the bathroom. Go to the bathroom yourself. And yeah. Well, I am back. So hello. Eating some spice, so it'll clear my nose. So hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me? La 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 da da. Okay, ready? Okay, well you can hear us. Another unanimous clamor rose from the boys' club. Ready! With a flick of her wrist and no final warnings, the net sailed through the air. Players scrambled to be wherever the cashew was going to land. You stayed more to the side where you can see what's happening without getting sucked into the gaggle of boys. It went straight down and bounced against a stone, rolled away to never be seen again. No one got close. The gang's steppers, desperate fever fizzled. Awkward glances were sent about the field. It was just test win. Q's excuses amused the other kids, getting a slight smile as she spread, but there was the truth in it. The players had a much better idea of the landing zone. Maybe next time, or the time after, someone would get something. Yup, here we go! Someone enthusiastically enthusiastic as her would stick to that pace. It was only starting to shot after all. She shoveled some cashew into both of her palms and then shimmied down her arms back and forth, ready above your head. The nets jiggled from her hold without pause, at least until she had to reload. The game was on. The frenzy reached the new heights as everyone went in a dizzy circle, stumbling over unevenly ground and leaped for the goldish color of metal. Baxter took the simplest method to catch stuff. He used his hand to snatch the falling snack. Q and Darren bent their necks, face forward to the sky. They attempted to sink a net directly in their open mouth. It was like a nest of baby birds waiting for their mom to come home with dinner. I mean, it's not wrong. More places a cashew could be caught, but it was better than right. You can't be mad to catch a cashew. You didn't say why or what you had to do. It made your neck sore, but it was worth it. She might have been one girl, but the wave of cashew Tamarack sent down were more than enough to keep the boys on their combined 40 toes. In the heat of the battle, you were shaken by a sudden loud crash. Q and Darren slammed directly into each other. The impact brought both toppling over indirectly into Baxter. Keeping his eyes ahead didn't save him. Baxter went down with them. The trio landed in a heap of as helplessly as a cashew no one caught. Ack! Ugh! Ah! The two boys rolled their backs into the grass, holding their poor faces. The third was flat out on his stomach, blinking in surprise. Are you guys alright? Tamara cupped her hands together, stopping any more cashews from falling. Yeah, are your heads okay? From the youngest to the oldest, the group started climbing up to their feet again. They brushed off the leaves and grass and a couple cashew pieces sticking to their clothes. Baxter helpfully plucked the breeze off his buddy's back as they can reach. Hugh inhaled deeply, tilted back enough to drop his hood onto his shoulder. He responded to concern loud enough for all to hear. I'm good. nobody's bleeding, that's something. Yeah, it's cool. That was mostly funny. What about you guys? Still feeling alright? I'm fine. Baxter answered with total calm, slipping his hand into his pocket. Darren hopped as he twisted his puffy vest to lay right again. My butt hurts, but I'm good. His friends laughed a little additional bits of info Darren decided to share, then Q shot off a thumb to Tamara to let her know things were okay. That was a relief. You didn't think there would be ever a happier to hear him laugh at something. I'm really glad you're not hurt. Thanks. Thanks, Tay. It takes away more than that to bring me down. Thanks. Oh, oops. No one mentioned how the collision had literally brought him down, and it was better left than unsaid. So the event resumed more carefully this time. Baxter caught another nut, then a good few more after his palm gracefully filled the cashew chunk, which was not easy to pull. Then the unbelievable happened. One of his nuts dropped into Darren's gaping mouth. Darren was so surprised he couldn't hit his tongue, then he coughed and spat the cashew out. That didn't diminish the glory in the feat. In fact, it only proved for sure he had done it. All eyes were on Darren, though for entirely different reasons than a minute ago. Baxter and Q crowded around the champ, slapping his shoulder and ruffling his hair. It was technically a competition against each other, but if one of them was truthful, it was a victory for the entire group. Darren grinned at the attention, breathing hard from exertion. His cheeks and the spot where Q's face had smacked into his chin was all red. Still, Tamrock didn't clear was over. The bag wasn't completely empty. It would be the last hurrah. There is something gonna happen. I feel it. Oh, say that and it never does. Your strategy hadn't paid off. Your face and hands were all failed to secure that nut. Well, you couldn't see where your hands were. With your head thrown back, you had to flail them around, hoping something came their way. Maybe that was why nothing did. Do your efforts continue. Oh, that sucks. We get to choose. Around and around you went, struggling for a single crumb, though it was not for much longer. A shot rang out that stamped out the excitement quicker than the first nut hit the ground. That's all the cashews! Aw, Silver. Kim bent forward like a sagging bag of nuts. His head hung low. His arm dangled down in front of him. It couldn't have been more exaggerated show of disappointment. This had to stop sometime. Your focus had been on Q's genetics over the game ending. When did you notice Baxter again? You were stunned. Naturally, his hair was smooth again. His pose was firmly relaxed. Baxter had returned to his usual nonchalant status faster than the eye could. It was as if he was never running around the valley trying to catch cashew, or that at one time he'd fallen flat on the ground. We had a lot of chances. Those were specifically chosen words. Baxter followed them by being too much on the pile of cashews he'd gathered throughout the game. Awfully simple bride it was. His cold smile with each bite gave the intentions away. You remembered how Q described them. Devious. With amused disbelief at such gall, Q shook his head. I'm gonna go eat the stuff our great snack master has brought. You guys have been eating things. Q directed his quip at Baxter, despite the lumping Darren into it. The other guy in the equation still had something to say. Darren smooshed the back of his fuzzy glove onto his mouth to wipe off the crumbs lingering there. I didn't eat it, I just caught it. Oh wow, thanks for reminding everyone, Darren. Q poked his buddy's arm accusingly. That's close enough. Not for eating anything, but I guess you mean that we had cashew and you didn't eat it? Dang. He wasn't catching a single break, which made sense since he didn't catch anything else. He chose to let the teasing become water under the bridge. He moved on. He called to Tamrock. Hey, meet us at the stairs! Q stuck one arm towards the spot. He used his other hand to cup his mouth. We're gonna eat the other snacks. Coming! The news of news activity brought Tamrock balance and celebration. She was energized for the next bit of fun. The four of you walked slowly to the steps. Most players were still out of breath. Cashews crunched under your toes. And Q scooped up the corner store bag with the goods. Carrying the snacks was supposed to be the master's job. It didn't really matter anymore. With the treats ready, the entire group regathered onto the steps, nestled into the hillside of the valley. 3 kids settled down, the shortest one at the highest point, going up from sizes and down from the level there. Tamrock had come from the top, so she didn't go far towards the ground. Hugh took the lead for his club, and sat onto the step directly under her. Darren was on the spot behind Q. Baxter, however, only leaned his shoulder against the cobblestone wall. Q cheerily let you join him on the mossy slab. You couldn't sit together at school, but no one could stop you from doing it here. I like his little hair. Your seat was a little damp and a whole lot of hard, but it was great to finally not being on your feet. You walked through the whole town, explored the special place, and were running during the entire cashew off the bridge game. Q casually hung his legs over the side of the stairs. Darren pulled a knee up near his chest while others were resting across the step. Tamrock planted her feet onto you and Q's spot. She bumped both of you playfully with her boot. I gotta say, Q pointed a finger in the air, calling the last meeting of his group. Even Tamrock still wasn't a member. You really had a good idea, Tamrock. Smiling sweetly with her hands in her lap, Tamrock sincerely appreciated the phrase. Thanks, Q. However, Mr. Q then initiated the discussion, but Tamrock brought it down to business. Who's the winner? We're all winners. He offered the idea optimistically, or maybe hopefully was the better word. In the end, the winners and losers has been split down the middle. Darren and Baxter found the success in Q, and you got left empty-handed and empty-mouthed. No, his hopes were flatly denied. Littering in the forest and soft-hearted ideas of not choosing a single winner were 2 things that Tamrock couldn't stand. Someone has to win. What's counted as winning? That's a tough call. Baxter had the most, but Darren did something pretty crazy. But Darren did something pretty crazy that should count for more than one catch. It's your game, Tamrock. Make up a point system. Well, you can't do that now because you already played the game. She crossed her arms and squeezed her knees together, showing off the serious effort she was putting into thinking. Tamrock sat around like a round nut waiting to be cracked. But what broke through was a devious smile. Baxter wasn't the only one that had that skill. If you caught it with your mouth, that's more points than catching it with kind of lot with your hand. But it doesn't count when you spit it out. Darren's spine went rigidly straight to instinct before scrunching down more than ever. He croaked defeatedly. This had gotten him more ruffled than when he hacked up the cashew. Baxter wins. Darren's fuzzy black gloves were balled into a harmless-looking fist. He must have wanted to argue that his efforts should count for something. You're older. But he was unable to put words together right to a girl's face. This had to be exactly why Tamrock made the rules unfair against him. Baxter chuckled under his breath. Clever. So the victory... I think these two are going to get together when they're older. So the victor was crowned, and he gave his short acceptance. Congrats to Baxter. Though Baxter acted as he didn't care a tiny cashew crumb if he won or lost based on Tamrock's made-up rules that had decided on after the game was already over. It sucked. You lost, and the winter was too cool to even be happy about it. Never again would you let that happen. Darren continued to point in his neck the whole while. Thankfully to him, he had a pal who never think they first had so long. Blah, 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 blah. Next, we get to fight about who got last. I say it was me. Taylor might have not caught a cashew either, but she didn't crash into it anyway. Q shifted from an angling for a no-win situation, confidently accepting his status as the bottom rug. That plan succeeded where his net-catching strategy failed. It made Darren faintly smile. Q gave a wink, not stopping there. The other two guys are taller. That gave you the edge, don't forget. There was laughter and light-hearted smiles up and down and along the steps. It was just one of those days where everything was funnier than the frustrating no matter what. It was frustrating no matter what. Okay, Snack Master, enjoy your spoils. Snack Master gets to pick first. There's many unknown rules and regulations for the status of the Snack Master. You were learning a lot. Q loudly stretched open the handles of his bag, holding the delicates for Darren. He took his beef jerky, and that was the last thing to make him fully cotton again. Pass me the gummy. Baxter got his treat as requested, then Q moved on to you. Tay? You found your chocolate peanut butter cup in the bag. Q secured his chip last before stuffing the corner bag into the crevice of his step. Having your own special treat that you won with your own hand was exciting. You took a nice bite, immediately feeling the rewards for your choices. It was great. The group who planned the food detour easily settled back into snack sharing semicircle. Baxter bent over to the stairs to be close to others, sitting down. No boy was empty-handed. None of them were limited to the treats they choose. Q and Darren's glove got completely coated in powdery snacks bits in record time. It was Then that Tamrock rejoined the conversation. She had been quietly sifting through the fully stocked messenger bag while Q had been dividing up the treats. Here's what I got. She got what she got was a yellow rectangle size of a chocolate bar, though that it wasn't chocolate. It was the brightly colored black that made Q giggle. We're so lucky you didn't chuck that big thing at us. Are you sure? It would have been easy to catch. I'm sure. I'm all right from not catching anything. Darren couldn't help but interrupt that back and forth with a dubious curtsy. What is it? Big cookies. Tamrock tore open the wrapper with a gusto, then she slid out a tan couch cushion looking cookie. It was flat on the top and bottom with a dark brown filling in the center. Ooh, big bars. Oh, I love those. Here, take a piece. Tamrock pinched the top and pressed it down. The cookie was soft kind, more like a smack cake. It smoothed and bent until a chunk separated without a snap. Then she placed it in your waiting palm. She looked up at the latest exchange of goods. He scratched his cheek. Could I try it too? Sure. Oh no, she's not going to get any. Thank you. Tamrock smiled, passed a small section of the spongy cookie down to Q. I tried a thick cookie. Another simply request came in before she finished pulling her fingers away from Q. Tamrock took a second to yank a corner of it and stuff it into her mouth before nodding. She whittled the cookie away even more to share with Baxter. He tossed it in his mouth like that. Only 1 square inch was left of the bar. Her snack was almost got finished faster than any other. You take it. She hadn't said his name, but her eyes were set directly on Darren, 2 steps lower. He didn't react. Apparently, if you didn't direct something, it wasn't there. Or he might have not realized she was talking to him. Darren had changed his sitting position onto the appearance of a folded chair. Not only were both legs out pulled up, but his arm was over his knees and his face was lowered down onto them. Q gave the back of Darren's blind head a nudge. Anyone home? Without a word, Darren tilted his neck like he had during the game. Tamrock was already leaning forward over to dangle the last bit of cookie above his face. He carefully reached out and plucked the gift from Tamrock's hold as if he was picking a real fig off a branch. It made sense in a way. Tamrock's name was a type of tree. Thanks, sadly. Why are you sad? Darren curled his finger close around his new cookie. He kept staring upwards at Tamrock. It had to be a record for the longest time he held contact with her. You can have a piece of jerky. Everyone can. Thank you, but I don't want that. Oh! Before things could get real awkward, Tamrock's attention sparked on a different idea. It worked out for Darren, though. She hadn't done it to smooth out her bluntness over. Tamrock was like that. She had a lot of energy. I have something else too. And something else too was a bare baggie of cashew dust taken from her overalls. Seeing her bringing that out now was more confusing when she first held it over the bridge. Tamrock snickered at the loss she left the group at. It was her own secret scheming. She poured the scrap into her hand and returned the now empty bag into the pocket it came from. The same second, Tamara sent pieces to Hugh and Q. Q defensively instinct kicked in and snatched it before it could hit his face. One target you was a gentle toss. You cupped your hand into your lap without thinking and it went. What was that about? You got one, a cashew that I threw. You too, Tay. You didn't ask her to help you. You didn't want her to help you. You ate. Q gave a lopsided smile and also ate the little piece. Yes, I did, thanks. No. I mean, there's only like 2 pieces. I'm not sure. The choice of agreement followed. The group was more than happy to provide. Your choice of the treats made rounds along the stairs. Chairs. What? They filled their hands and stomachs with it. The conversation took a turn when Q chirped up with a question. So, what do you think? Of what? What else? He gave Tamara a slick smile. Her attention was what he had been trying to grab. The club. Oh, she didn't say anything else, but that was okay. Q continued himself. You're glad you joined now, aren't you, Tay? After his best decision, Q was never more grateful than having you in the club than he was right then. You had his back. See, Tamarack, you can still join if you want to. Tamarack thought longer about the question than she had the first time Q invited her. She gave it a real consideration, but the answer wasn't different. Nothing. At least mostly there has been development over the afternoon you experienced. Tamarack was quick to add in. I still like you, Q. And I like playing with Baxter and Darren. Really? Thanks. You do? Q's left and right-handed voice were amazed. Baxter was amused disbelief, and Darren, in that he didn't have a single clue what to do. Q became a common voice in the little crowd, a steady rock against the wind of emotion which was not usual for him. You know, that's cool. I think it makes sense for you. It's the Tamarack way. That was the end of that for the day, or maybe forever. Q managed to be at peace not having everyone he knew in his official club. So you were partially a club, completely a group of kids hanging out at the bridge together. Q took a turn trying to toss QC chips into Tamarack's mouth. She squealed every time she missed and whooped whenever she didn't. Baxter rested along the wall, watching this game with some interest. He betted away the shots that misfired or bounced off Tamarack. Darren nibbled on the last Baxter sour gummies. He was keeping the score while Q and Tamarack kept their heads fully in game. It was kind of like a picnic, except there was no blanket basket, a lot colder than you would usually imagine for a picnic. Best Saturday ever! Right, I told you. Nuh-uh, your plan was going riding, bikes. That's all you talked about. Well, first, yeah, but it was my idea to do both things. Both include coming here, and it counts. No. Tarek cheered, and there would be no compromising with that. Fine. Fine. Those two definitely did disagree on a lot of things, but it was equally certain that they were friends in their own silly way. And they were your friends too. They across the town into a treasure chest store up a mountain across the bridge could only be described as an adventure, and you are going to remember it for a long time. What the fuck happened? So... Wheel. Should I play this? Deal. That one wheels. Okay, should we... Okay. This. I like that. Okay. Can we do the hair? Should I change it? Hair front, hair back. There. And accessory. Nope. Nope. There. Okay. Another cloudy day at Saturday in the Golden Grove where three kids reconvened in the middle of their cul-de-sac. The moment had come to fulfill their promise you made to go riding around the park together. Baxter and Darren were going to meet up with you partway there again. Q said so as soon as he showed up. And this time, you told your mom before leaving the house that you were going to be out of the neighborhood. No, we did the other time. She had signed and thanked you for always keeping her up to date on your busy schedule. Q narrowed his eyes and it intensified, spark inside them like a magnifying glass directing a laser beam of sunlight. The bridge in the forest was the most amazing to Tamrock, but this was Q's special thing. Let's go get our wheels. The three of you split off into your own house along the curve of the cul-de-sac, each kid disappearing around the corner through the front door. You got your scooter and it made it to this meeting spot without any problem. Q and Tamrock and Q wasn't there. You beaten them, yes. Standing there with a hand on the handlebar, nothing else to do, you glanced over your ride. For the helmet Mom had gotten you completely normal shaped one. It was brightly colored. It was only a few minutes until the three of you were together again on the road, each with your own wheels of choice. Q rolled forward to be right between you and Tamara and to be very center of attention. Hi, the book. Let me eat something. Why can I not heart that thing? Fuck. I want to heart it. Sorry, my family was texting, and I wanted to heart a message, but they wouldn't let me. Totally forgot about this for a second. His bike was pride and joy. He bragged about it basically as soon as you knew him. And the final day had come where he was able to show it off. It was exactly as Q always described it, black with silver splatters. The bike was polished to a reflective gem, and that made the nicks and scratches in it did have stand out. He used his wheels a lot, even though he'd taken care of it. Q launched into a dynamic spiel on the qualities of the bike, listing off one feature after the other. His ride had great treads and a lot of different gears and amazing suspension. It was he trying to ride it or sell it? You snickered, but you could tell it wasn't all just talk. It did look bigger, sturdier than a typical kid's doll you could get at any store. The helmet under Q's arm was unique too, for a serious dirt bike king with the face cover and everything. When Q's explanation eventually ended, Tamara chimed in to give her ride an introduction of itself. Hers was a whole lot shorter. Mine is really pretty, huh? She drummed her fingers across the handlebar. Q's bike was so incredible it must have been forged from the most powerful material. Meanwhile, Tamara's scooter looked like it came from a candy land. Oh God, do I have a pick? The main part was pastel with purple squishy handles and purple not so squishy wheels. There wasn't even a hint of dullness and scruff anywhere. It would have looked brand new, except it was covered with tons of stickers. From the bottom to the top to the bottom, rainbows, cutesy animals, sparkly hologram hearts were pasted next to the skull, fire, and danger signs that might have glowed in the dark. You had a hard time thinking she protected her scooter more than Q shares his bike. It was possible to covering it in stickers was the only thing she ever used for it. Tamara's helmet didn't have stickers. Maybe she decided it was cool enough already. Those extra round shapes had stripes of different colors and, oh yeah, huge rows of spikes. You counted those. If you counted those, she might have almost been as tall as Q for once. And thinking for Q, he shivered at Tamrock's decked-out scooter. He tried to talk in his normal voice. It wouldn't be very polite to voice how horrified he obviously was, but Q couldn't hide it. You're never going to be able to scrap that off. I don't want to lose the stickers. They make it better. But they're going to get old and fade and tear. Then what? I'll add more. Tamrock had the answer to every question. Soap and water, you can use that. Even if it was the wrong answer. But then Q closes his mouth and must have thought the same thing you did. Never mind. You both have such good rides. Thank you. Tamrock cheered all around. Was missing a horn. She could have honked it to punctuate her excitement. It would have fit perfectly, but that was more of a biking thing. You get it, my bike is the best. His words came out extra eager. He was been waiting for a phrase to come in, and that was when the attention went to what you brought. Tamrock and Q silently scrutinized your scooter. We're the same. Her kitty made sense. In a town of bike boys, you were scooter girls. That was pretty special. Yours is really tough. Q gave his own seal of approval. He reached acceptance on the no bike agenda of the rest of his neighbor. Those will do good enough. Then Q refocused on being in charge of this trip. Okay, no more messing around. Let's do that. The trio of the cul-de-sac kids strapped onto helmets. Oh shit, cool. When Q got his bulky helmet on, he gave a thing a smack on the side of his own head. He had to make sure it still worked, you guessed. Tamrock tugged the tie of the chin strap so it was practically fused with her face. It would not be able to be budging no matter what happened. Don't be saying that thing's gonna happen. You're ready. Tiny Expedition put sneakers to the pedal, shoes to the pavement, and you are on your way. Your neighborhood was behind you in a matter of seconds. The whole wide world was in front of you, with your wheels under you. I like this town. It were free to go anywhere. Riding into town on this bumpy road, up and down, side to side, made you think of 3 leaves being swept along the flow of the river. Everybody giggled and oohed each time you tipped over a hump of the hill. When gravity took over, Tamrock leaned to the side and stuck her chest past the scooter bar to get a full blast of wind. Q kicked up his leg and let the pedals spin completely out of control. You lowered yourself to catch some extra speed. You flew by the mix of houses and trees until there was no more forest or homes. What surrounded you were rows of business buildings. The massive arch declared this place as Golden Grove acted as a finish line for the legs of that journey. Everybody dismounted but left their helmets on. This wouldn't take long, according to Q's. Even so, he announced it to be the best to wait somewhere else. Oh. what makes me like really anxious is I saw a thing. Well, my back is like kind of crackling a little bit, old age. But I saw a thing of like a thing, interesting true story thing where a woman sneezed and her um, spine kind of did a crack and she couldn't move or something. I was like, no, no. He announced it would be best to wait somewhere else. The three of you moved out together to street bikes and scooters and things like that could take someone far, but the cars were the unchallenged ruler of the road. It took your feet a second to feel normal walking around on solid ground again. They were still tingling from the vibration of the ride. Everyone safely got themselves and their wheels out onto the sidewalk. You officially arrived to the first milestone. The treasure chest shop was right down the sidewalk on the corner. You remembered stocking up for supplies, rock, paper, scissors, and the trip to the special place in the forest, but you had other destinations ahead that day. You remained huddled near the front of the barber shop waiting. Anytime a random person came by, it was a challenge to let them pass. Your ride took up a lot of space. You had been right. As soon as you heard the clickety zip, bikes' wheels coming closer, zooming down the side street were missing members of the Q Boys Club. Baxter Bikes was blinding bright white on the body. Chains, wheels, and other mechanical stuff were black. He casually leaned back so the one arm he used to hold on to the bike could stretch out fully. Dan's ride was an electric blue with orangey yellowy reflectors strapped onto the front and back. He lifted himself off the seat and stretched over the handlebar. The two had swapped their normal headgear with helmets. The older boys looked kind of different in other ways too. Baxter always wore a sweater whenever you seen him. He chose to go without it for the bike ride. You weren't sure why. For Darren, it took longer to realize what had changed, but you got it. He had taken off those fuzzy black gloves. You can imagine why Darren would do that. Q whooped, seeing them. He tried to wave and get closer, but keeping his bike steady really didn't make it easy. The big thing did help him make him easy to spot, though. Then Baxter came to a screeching stop in the front of you before going over a curb and knocking your group over like bowling pins. Hey! Hello! The whole set of them were decked out in smiles. After your first time out together at the bridge, it had become a lot easier for those older boys to be around Q's neighbors. Hello! Tamark's reaction was beyond just being curious or bored, like how she might greet any stranger who happened to cross their path. She did know those boys. It was nice the way you could get to know someone, the way things could change day by day. The tallest of the boys started a chat with his buddy. That helmet's pretty cool. Darren nudged his uncharacteristically ungloved hand into Tamrock's direction. Do you think Mom would let me get one? Oh yeah, it's awesome, and no way. She would never let you go out looking like such a rebel. Yeah, it won't happen. Not fair. Sorry, but Taylor's is good too. The three of them gasped about their helmets and bikes among themselves. Meanwhile, Tamrock ran a finger along the side of her spiky helmet and grinned. Darren might have not said it to the girls to the girl itself, but he had said it about her. That was something. Baxter didn't even have to pretend to be Darren to give the compliment. At some point the topic of the conversation became about the actual ride rather than the safety gear. They don't have bikes. How are we gonna keep up? Tamrock squinted, her eyes insulted by the question. Hey, scooters are just as good as bikes. Darren couldn't meet her dark gaze. He could only mumble out of one of the corners of his mouth. Not for going fast. Before Tamrock could disagree again, only for Darren to say something else she didn't like, Q laughed. Well, Darren, it's so nice of you to want to make sure nobody is left behind, but you know. Q slowly smiled while gradually getting higher on his toes until he was near eye level with Darren. I could ask the same question every time I ride with anybody else, 'cause no one is as fast as me. Q cut his hand through the air like he was striking down on an invisible field of opponents. Then he jabbed a hook venter into Darren's chest. Maybe the challenge wasn't pretend after all, but I don't ask it and have fun anyway, so do other people, alright? It's gonna be good. This time Darren whispered from the opposite side of his lip. Alright. That's fine with me too. They don't need to use bikes. Okay, good, Tamrock said while letting Darren out of under her glare. Instead of him, Tamrock focused on the road. After spending the entire time giving his words and attention to Q, Baxter spoke directly to you and Tamrock. We're not gonna stop again before we reach the park. Yep, we're not sticking around this place. The proud scooter girl squeezed her squishy handles until the plastic morphed around her fingers. You were sending out once again. Q led the way past Main Street and down the multiple other streets she didn't know the names of. The boys' club took every sudden turn and bent as easily as they could go in a circle, although they never left you and Tamrock behind. In fact, Tamrock stayed as close to them as possible, forcing a blind determination to match their knowledge of what they were doing. Eventually, the sky opened up for you. Opened in front of you. The buildings that blocked it were pushed aside to make room for the forest living directly inside Golden Grove. If the main street was the heart of the town, this was the stalled. You shot up straight through the entrance. The path was wide enough for 5 rides to spread out from a cluster to a row. Orange, red, and yellow fallen leaves covered the ground. They were scattered in a whirlwind from the wheels that rushed over them like clouds and walnut butterflies had taken to the sky. The wind whispering past your ear carried out a shout of exhilaration from Q. Tamrock's scooter vibrated, going over whatever the road were made of. It was buzzing. You raced like the wind. Free from the obstacles of cars and tight sidewalks, the boys' club pulled further and further ahead of Tamrock. Her scooter, with a single leg pushing it along, couldn't match the speed of a double pedal bike. Before Tamrock was actually left behind, Q called out again. Brake! One after the other, Q, Darren, and Baxter slammed on their brakes. coming to a dramatic stop. It was exactly what the older two boys had done when they first showed up. Tamara jumped right off her scooter. She clutched the handles and ran along with it until she got to her steed's halt. "We're here at the park!" You were the last to stop moving, doing it most slowly and carefully. Everyone climbed off their stuff. Hey, no, May. Everyone who didn't already do it. That was then and regrouped in an almost circle. The two boys were at his sides. They faced you and Tamarack. The club leader kept his bike upright with one arm and had the other free so he could move all around as he spoke. "This is it. Welcome to the Golden Grove Park." And that's the name. It isn't called anything else. There aren't any other parks around, so Q flicked his hand casually. "You get the point," is what he was thinking without words. "It's beautiful here. I like it." But the normal normal forest is still the best. And a special thing, the most special. Tamarack had added the last part decisively. Could not be any misunderstandings happening around her ranking of good stuff. "That's not bad. I knew Golden Grove would have something we both like." Q grasped his bike with both hands, raring to go again after only a few seconds. "You'll like it even better when you see more. There's a couple of paths going around here, and one of them is this big loop around the entire park. We could ride down it that way. It doesn't take long. And we pass it by a cool gazebo on the other end." "What are we going to do after that?" "We'll see what happens when we get there." That was half the plan. That half plan got a mixed reaction. Baxter smirked unaffectionately, which he knew he would have done no matter what, you were sure. And Darren went back to his old ways of being sour. Q-Heads gave his friend a side eye and a crooked smile. Again, he didn't need to talk to say what he wanted to express. "Come on, Darren. What's going on with the general message?" Darren sucked in a breath while his chin sunk lower as his helmet was crushing his head. "We came all this way to the park. We should race, like we always do." His voice crackled like it always did when he felt a lot of emotion. It must have been a decision importance to the club, or at least to one member of it. "Sorry, Darren, we can't this time." "Why not?" "Why?" Hughes tripped on Tamarack's question. To him, she of everything should get a why. "'Cause how are you and Taylor gonna race against bikes on scooters?" "I don't want to race." "Exactly, that's what I'm saying. You don't have to, so we're not racing today." "You can race without me." "What? You want us to do something that'll leave you out?" He knew Tamarack sometimes went off by herself, but the idea of not getting to be part of the main event was more horrifying to Q. Covering his beloved bikes and stickers. "Yeah, your boys club can do your boys club stuff." Q opened his mouth, posed to disagree with the suggestion he go off without her, and with implications that she wasn't part of the club. But Tamarack was more forceful with her thoughts than Q, and kept going. "You don't have to do what me and Taylor do all the time. I want to join the race. Don't talk for yourself. You wanted us to see the park, and we did. And we went to that special place together. We're still friends if we don't play together the whole day at the park. Darren was open-mouthed, stunned over Tamarack disagreeing blatantly with Q. It still couldn't match how befuddled Q was. I want to race. Q said nothing, though a hint of smile did return on his face. Darren's confidence grew. His chin wasn't hiding anymore. He lifted it. Tamarack continued to fight for a race. It was a tag team effort, and her turn had come around again. I'll cheer really loud when you go by, so you won't forget I'm here. Then, to the surprise of everyone, one more speaker tossed in their 2 cents. The most mature and a fake accent one. It is a good idea I'm not a racer. Whenever we do this, it's between you and Darren anyway. I'd rather watch. Huh. Q hadn't known about his friend, but it was convincing. Maybe Baxter's words counted more than a couple pennies since he was so rich. This had sent Q for a spin, a bike wheel going out of control, but he planted his feet onto the pedals again. All right. The club members and not yet club person have voted. We're gonna split up. Anyone who wants to race with me, everybody else can do whatever they want. But, he paused momentarily. He'd been building up himself with a lift of his finger. Then Q peeked at the group through the single eye. Let's go around the park together before we leave. Okay? Okay. Cool. Tamarack grinned victoriously. Q turned it into a compromise in the very end, but Tamarack considered it to win for her side. Darren managed a tiny smile over it, too. I'd still race with you and Darren. Okay, the deal is done. This is a three-way race was happening. I'm gonna be honest. Q's smile was less certain than normal. He remained unconvinced that a scooter versus bikes was going to go well, but you were doing it this way. Then Q laid out how things were going to work, listing off the points with the count of his finger. You start at a side path in the end, go around the gazebo, then take the same route back to the start. It wouldn't be a full loop around the edge of the park, just a shorter route that cut through the center. There was a reminder to stay away from each other, the grass, the pedestrians. Though Q needed 2 tries to properly say that word out loud, not trying to cash into things was the idea. The race would begin on the word go. Got it? Got it. Sure. It was too tempting to break the chain. Speaking of, in a stiff official manner, Q addressed the 2 non-racers. Baxter and Tamarack, would you do us the honor of counting down? Yes, I will. She can do it. Good luck. Tamarack was way more pumped about the job than he was. He could let her have it. Cool. Aww. Cool. Q slapped the side of his helmet again, declared it was time. To your starting positions. Yeah, I'm so ready. The competitive spirit possessed Darren for a second, and he cheered wholeheartedly. But it left soon. Darren was a little embarrassed by the declaration. The competitors lined up side by side. Q and Darren climbed onto their bikes while Yu placed a foot on the sole scooter in the running. Tamarack stood close by and slid her scarf from her neck and gripping it tight. 1, 2, 3! That in sheer silence, even Tamarack could show some patience if it was dramatic for effect. Go! She flung the cloth into the air like a flag. The race began with a whirlspin of wheels scattering the bottom leaves. The three of you were off in a blink. The perfect row you started held steady at first. You pulled ahead of both of you. You kept your eyes squinted and trained on the current leader. You weren't messing around. Q did the bike equivalent of putting the pedal to the metal, slammed his weight into the force, all his weight into forcing the bike forward. It took you even further from the pack. It was just showing off. Look out! Here I come! In your dreams! You and Q messed around having a light-hearted race exchanged. Darren kept completely out of it. He wasn't wasting any breath. And the end of the path approached rapidly. This was not an endurance race, but it was about the pure of speed. Cold wind whipped across your skin, hot blooded pumped through your body. It was exhilarating. Your mom liked that word, and this had to be the feeling she was trying to explain. You turned around the gazebo, split the racer apart more clearly than before. First Q, and then Darren, lastly you. Yeah, you might have been in the race, but you were not in the race. Those boys were crazy about biking and racing and had the energy forever. You couldn't keep up with that. Q kicked it up a notch, taking a massive lead no one could choose. Despite that, Darren refused to quit and left you in the dust. Eventually, you reached the point in the path where Tamarack and Baxter chose to hang out. She's here! The roar of the wind, Tamarack cheered. Could still be heard. She flailed at extra long ends of her sweater sleeve. Tamarack kept her promise. No one could forget that she was still there. Go Terry! Baxter gave a respectful applause to the last-paced rider. Those two were gone. You had a clear view of the finish line. It was so open because no one else was in the path anymore. Q and Darren had already reached the end and moved aside for you. Like Tamarack and Baxter before, they were encouraging you forward. Your legs burned, your sweaty fingers shook from clasping too tight for so long. You might have been the slowest, but you would still go as fast as you could. In the end, near until you arrived at the entrance of the park, dead last. It was over. Let's dive. Let's stop. Lovely music. Q stamped the sole of his red left sneaker onto the ground and removed his heavy helmet. His head was held high, basking in the glory of victory. Afternoon sunshine glinted off his jeweled bike like a spotlight. The winner of that race got off his bike completely before moving to fourth. Face you. Dan stared at you too, from over his shoulder. He beat you this time, and that was all there was to it. I don't know if you can say you beat Taylor, Q. Scooters and skateboards can't do what bikes can in a short race. That doesn't mean Taylor is the worst at doing it. I was going to say that myself. It was basically a tie when it came to pure skill. Nice work, Taylor. I'm impressed. Yeah. I don't know, it was the most fun race. He mumbled into the collar of his vest, but didn't sink low enough to hide the corner of his mouth perking up. it was a joke. Darren was trying to make a joke. That was different. And so him talking directly into you, not about you, towards you and Baxter. It was pretty cool that you joined. Baxter even didn't even want to do that. Thank you. Darren climbed up. That was enough conversation for him, at least with you. You dropped in like a lifeline, rescuing you and Darren from the awkward silence. The words weren't empty, filtered out his enthusiasm was real. You said it, Darren. And there's no challenge too tough for you, is there, Tay? I can barely keep up. Bikes are probably the only thing I'm ahead on. Spending that afternoon together, having a race against them, it made you think. You liked him a lot. Something with how you were looking at Q got a reaction from him. Maybe it was something about you general, but he grinned in such a sweet way. It made breathing harder than any race could. Turn up! Yes, crashes! Ah! I'm saving. Hemrick bounded over. She left her scooter in the grass and he was entirely unrestrained. Baxter leisurely followed behind. His hands were in his pocket. His bike propped against a bench. It kind of looked like a cute poodle that got off their leash, and the fancy owner didn't care if she jumped on visitors. That was amazing! You were amazing, Kay! Of course she had to say something like that, even though you got laughed. Tarek was nice after all. This didn't end in disaster. Hugh innocently hooked an arm around Darren. Of course it didn't. What do you expect? With its rider attention elsewhere, Hugh's bike slowly began to lean. Baxter silently pointed a finger at it. Hugh leaped up to stop it from falling over completely. The panic transferred low through Q directly to Darren. He instinctively reached past Q to try the precarious vehicle too, but that caused his own bark to start slipping. Ah! The two broke apart. The hug to rescue their bikes in the nick of time. Q and Darren sighed in relief, while Baxter chuckled fondly at his friend. Something like that was probably about what he expected. It was time to fulfill your second promise of the day, to go to a ride all together. The group decided to make a full loop around the park. You thought this was perfect? You're happily the... Oh wait, I could have said that and he could have lied. Taylor Darren, this is a victory lap. For the three of us, we competed, and that's something to be proud of, no matter what place you got. Yeah. Jamrock and Baxter made eye contact with each other. Q was one thing, but Darren agreeing with such friendly take on it, they could only imagine what they missed. Jamrock simply coasted on her scooter, not fighting to be in front for a change. Q pedaled along a slow pace and let his arm hang down completely. You stayed in the same pace as the crowd, letting your wheels carry you more than anything. Ooh, I wonder if the full game's gonna have all the holidays and stuff. That would be cool. Hey, what was the prize for winning the race? Nothing. Baxter shook his head with a smirk. Clearly things had become too peaceful for his liking. It's not a real race without a prize. Taylor should have to chauffeur Q. You darted a glance at you in shock from Baxter's taunt. Was it Shafir? Chauffeur, a person who drives other around as a job. Makes sense, right? No, more like people who didn't race at all should give us athletes a break and drive us around. Not a racer shrugged on his bike. Sorry, we aren't that sportsmanlike. Yep, sorry. It took a little time, but Darren managed to get into the boys' club back and forth. Then you don't get to say what the prize is. Tamrock teeheed and she laughed. Baxter chuckled and Darren snickered and you giggled. It was a long day with the club, plus Tamrock, who didn't want to officially become a member. Despite her standpoint on it, the five of you had gone through a lot for the short time you lived here. You made it to the special place and you went through the park. You raced against the best bikers in town. You had cashews rain down upon your head. Tamrock and Keo were your friends. Yep, I'd like to. The mood has gotten so differently from the craziness of your first experience there. You didn't try to make people have fun. They already were. Tamrock wasn't eager to do something new because she wasn't bored of this. Darren couldn't think to a point to complain about, and Baxter didn't make a fresh joke this time. People were satisfied and a little sleepy, as if it wasn't chilly. Maybe sometimes some of them would nodded off even though they were in the middle of riding their wheels. Front and back and all around there was somebody you recognized. Every day the people in this town weren't strangers because you didn't know them. They were strange because you did know. And you were stuck in it. Round and round the whole set went through the Golden Grove Park for as long as your parents had allowed it. Ah! Shit. Shit. Huh. So we're gonna call it there. I'm so excited for step 2 preview. And yeah. Maybe we can see a little bit. Step 2. Yes. In between. Welcome back to the tutorial. La 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 la. I don't care, we're gonna. Teenage life, I don't care. Eyes. I like that. Hair. And the top. Other accessories, underlayer, there, there, an overlayer, there, head accessory, okay, yes, no, I like this, nope, Like, oh, we can have nose rings. No, ew, that just doesn't look good. Bandages. And I think a little extra was that braces. Sure. Okay. So should be average. Okay, short. She, her. Taylor Swift. Oh, the mom's hair grew. Mom. She's a sticker. Music. Okay. We're gonna save it there. And there we are. And we're gonna go. Thank you guys for watching. I'm so excited for tomorrow. Bye! And go type exclamation point Discord for more if you're on Twitch for my Discord, and exclamation point INFO for more information, more links and all that. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. See you tomorrow. Bye.